Well, I'm Alan Dale from Gale Force Winds. It's an absolute pleasure to be here with the Atlantic Canadian Aerospace Defence Association at the Maritime Arctic Safety and Security 2025 conference. This conference is getting bigger year after year. Great conversations happening. Thanks to our good friends at the Ship Stop Here initiative, bringing this entire conversation alive. They know the importance of everybody's voice being in the conversation, and every voice matters. On that note, sir, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you do.
Sure. I'm not sure what I do, but I know my name, John Risley, and I'm a jack of all trades, master of none. But today I wear the hat as chair of a company called the Arctic Economic Development Corp, which is focused on helping the Northern Native folks build infrastructure and the government to build infrastructure in Canada's Arctic.
Talk to me about that conversation. How is that conversation going?
Look, there is an enormous need. We have neglected the Arctic region, makes up 40% of our land mass for decades. We have done ourselves a disservice as a country by neglecting the Arctic. We have compromised our sovereignty over effectively 40% of our land mass. The Chinese and the Russians and the Americans have more capacity to exert sovereignty in the Arctic, in our what we claim to be our waters, than we do our own. They have not recognized, including the Americans. Most Canadians don't understand the fact that the Americans have not recognized our sovereignty over things like the Northwest Passage, and they've got physical assets, if you like, which can, and sovereignty is a number of things. It's all very well to put up your hand and say, oh, we own this. Okay, you've got to demonstrate the practical reality of owning it, right? You've got to provide communication services. You've got to provide infrastructure of all sorts. You've got to be there. We don't have that capacity in the Arctic because we've neglected it. Now, what's the good? That's the bad news.
Right.
The good news is we've got a government now that is committed to actually trying to remedy, if you like, decades of neglect. That's a good thing. Then again, back to the bad thing, doing things in the Arctic is really hard.
Yeah.
And most Canadians don't really understand how difficult it is with the weather windows, the fact that we don't have the ice-breaking capacity to keep ports open on a kind of a regular, consistent basis so that you get long-term construction periods. These kinds of things are part of the practical reality and the practical problem of trying to get work done in the Arctic in any kind of a reasonable time frame.
Right. You see an event like this where so many people come together focused on the Arctic. Well, what are your thoughts on that? Like, are you seeing things moving in the right direction?
Look, I would say this is an important first step, but I would not be quick to pat ourselves on the back and say, okay, all we need to do is recognize the problem and we're away to the races. If this country is guilty of one thing, it's guilty of complacency, and it's all we walk away from conferences like this feeling good about ourselves and everything is good. Everything is not good. Things are terrible. We can't sit back and do things the way that we used to do them. We can't spend 5 years talking about, okay, now we're going to get serious about this, so let's start talking about it. No. Talk's in the past. We got to action now, right? Because Russia, America, China are not waiting. Russia ordered 7 brand new icebreakers 7 or 8 years ago, which they've got delivery of 5 now. And these icebreakers outclass anything that we've got. Even the new stuff we're building. They're 5 times bigger. They're way more powerful. Their goal is to keep what they call the Northern Sea Route, which is the equivalent of our Northwest Passage, open year-round, because they see it as an economic driver. They see it as a way that they can exert dominance over the entire world's Arctic regions, not just their own. They see it as an economic engine for energy development, for critical mineral development, and they understand and understood this a long time ago. We're slow in Canada. It takes us a long time to figure these things out, but they understand that if you want leverage in the world today, that's what you need. You need energy. You need critical minerals. You need the kinds of things that China has figured out, so that when President Trump says, "Oh, well, I'm going to do this. I'm going to starve China of the chips it needs to run its AI revolution," and China comes back and says, "Well, actually, no, you're not, because if you do that, you're not getting any critical minerals," right? So we don't have that leverage in this country, and we need it desperately.
How do we get it, John? How do we get that leverage?
We start by understanding that the traditional way of doing business is broken. That's the wrong word. Not broken. It's not fit for purpose today. We need to do things completely differently. And we need to action it today. Now, you've got that political will, I think, at the top in Ottawa, but it hasn't permeated down yet. And so the bureaucracy still takes the view that, no, we've got to take instructions from the politicians, but we've got to slow them down, because we've got to de-risk everything, and de-risk everything means we've got to take years in thinking this through, right? We, the bureaucracy, have to be involved in every single component of what's going to take place here, because this is the way that we make sure that our political leaders don't get in any trouble, they don't embarrass themselves, we get value for money. And look, I'm not arguing that those aren't important principles, but again, they're not fit for purpose. We've got to take risks. We've got to move quickly, right? The government needs to say, look, this is what we want to build. And then the government needs to get out of the way and hand it over to the private sector to go do it. Right? Go away. Go away. Leave us alone, and we will deliver it to you in the time frame we say. Right? And on budget. And if we don't, you don't pay us.
Are we moving in that direction? Are we willing to accept some risk?
I think we are at the political level, but I think the bureaucracy is fighting back as hard as they possibly can. Look. We incentivize bureaucracy the wrong way. What are our incentives around bureaucracy? They're around getting bigger, right? Because if you get bigger and you have more people, you become more of a force to be reckoned with, right? We don't incentivize bureaucrats to figure out, okay, can you do the same with 20% less people, right? Or how do we cut through red tape? I mean, that's not how the bureaucracy has been trained or incentivized even to work, right? We need to pay bureaucrats more money. We don't pay them enough money. Right? Oh, well, most Canadians would say, oh no, they're lazy bastards and we shouldn't be paying them what we're paying them. Completely the wrong thinking, right? We've got very, very good people in senior positions, and we pay them like crap. Right? We need to really pay people more money because we need them to do more. We need them to think creatively, and we need them to take risk, right? And we need to reward them for doing so, right? That doesn't happen overnight.
No. You keep coming back to the word risk. Is it in industry, or is industry largely as you see it in this part of the world?
Private sector deals with risk every day, right? So. Government doesn't know how to.
But at the same level of risk that you're talking about.
Oh, it is different levels of risk for sure. Right.
That sort of desire to fail fast and move forward and iterate. That's
we're not even really good at that in Canada, right? I mean, Americans have perfected that skill set, right? We still see failure in Canada as shameful and something.
And it's not, right? It's part of the process.
Yeah, it's part of the process, right? But we still see it as being embarrassed, right? I mean, if you're a government agency and you're putting money into an incubator, this idea that if you've got 10 companies, we see this at the Ocean Cluster, right, where I'm involved, and we know that of the projects that we help fund, at least 50 to 60% are not going to produce the value that we hope. But we also understand that if one or two really produce something that's world class, that justifies the entire investment.
Right.
And government struggles with that, right? Because it's brought to task over its failures. It's never reminded by the opposition of its successes, right? And we need to better understand, to your point, that failure is a part of success.
The Prime Minister seems to me like a guy that wants to listen to people like you. Is that conversation going on? Are we listening to innovators like you?
Yeah, so we are. Look, I like to be. I like to be critical, because frankly, we've got a lot to be critical about. But I would tell you that we've got an absolute superstar in our role as a leader. This is a guy who didn't need this job. This guy has got an incredible wealth of experience. If you think of the responsibilities he's got, and he's been in government. He's been related to government in terms of his roles at both our central bank and the central bank in the UK. He's been chairman of some of the largest companies in the world. I don't know anybody. There would be very few Canadians. You could count them on a hand that would have the network that Prime Minister Carney has. And he's super smart. He's super ambitious. He wants nothing but the best for the country. He's doing this for all the right reasons. And for that, we should be both very optimistic and grateful. But he's only one man.
Yeah.
And he's putting a team around him, and he's got some really good people around him. But it's like running a big, huge company, right? And a big, huge company, the president of Walmart doesn't know what the greeter is doing at a store in Austin, Texas, right? But that's the interface of the company to the customer, right? And it's the same thing with government. And so what is really important in being able to affect change and actually get your agenda implemented is the culture of the organization. Right? What is the culture? And the difficulty that the Prime Minister and team is going to have is getting the bureaucracy to understand this tolerance for risk that I keep coming back to, and that the bureaucracy is going to be rewarded for taking risk, not penalized, and you'll be penalized for inaction. That is going to take some time to deliver. But if we can get there, we will have the government will have accomplished a lot.
This has been a fantastic conversation. We certainly appreciate your perspective, and thanks for being on Gale Force Winds with us.
I told you I knew nothing. I warned you.
Pleasure to have you on.
Not at all.
Thank you, sir.